Hi folks, Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and today we're going to talk about a budget-friendly tube amp, and that is the APPJ PA1502A headphone tube amplifier, or the Gemtune PA1502A headphone tube amplifier. Why can't they give these things easier model number names, Anyways, this can be found on Massdrop. It can also be found on Amazon and eBay under the Gemtunes name and the APPJ name on Massdrop. So if it's not available on Massdrop, you can find it easily on Amazon and on eBay. Usually somewhere in the range of $150 to $170. And I think you get your money's worth with this. For being strictly tube amp only or headphone tube amp only, no preamps involved, no DAC involved or anything like that, you definitely only have one reason and one purpose to get this, and that's to have a headphone amplifier. Works great. Really does. It does what it's supposed to. Let's get on with the build quality. Build quality wise, this thing is top notch. All metal, aluminum build. I mean, it's got nice curves on it, on the edges. There's no sharpness. You're not going to scrape your hand on it or anything of the sort. It's very, very nice and pleasing looking, and also you won't cut yourself, which is nice. Some of the tube amps that I've had and tried had really sharp edges and all that kind of stuff, and not user friendly. It is a little heavy though. It's about 6 pounds. So it's solidly built. On the bottom, you have nice venting, some set screws to take the thing apart. And then it's got little silver legs on it, 4 of them on each corner. And they're rounded on the edges so they don't scrape things up. And I find that once it's sitting in place, it's just permanent. You're not going to move it unless you really put forth some effort. On the front, you have your 1/4 inch headphone out. You have a high-low gain switch, and you have your volume knob, which works really well. Only complaint on that is they did a nice job of rounding all these edges and everything, but the volume knob has a little bit of a sharpness right on the edge of it. So if you run your finger on it like that, you can kind of feel it. Feel the sharpness. So it's kind of odd. I wish they kind of had rounded that just a little bit. It does have a marking for where your I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. Not really. It's very hard to see, but there is a little notch for the volume. I wish that manufacturers would get in the habit of putting a little dot or some sort of marker that's easier to see. Because in certain lighting conditions, it can be kind of hard to know where your volume is. On the back side, you've got RCA in, and electric in, and power switch. Pretty straightforward. Actually, believe it or not, this cord that comes with it is not massively huge or thick. Some can come with huge power bricks and everything. This one's, I mean, it's a thick cord, but it's not super obtrusive as some can be. The only real complaint I have about the build besides the volume knob is my electrical area wiggles. There's nothing wrong with the wiring or anything. The wiring's not pulling or anything. It's just that the casing, the little plastic casing, is too small for the cutout for the metal. So it just kind of wiggles in that hole. I wish they had snugged it up just a little bit more. It's not going to pull out or anything. It's not going to affect your cables, but I just wish it was built a little better. How's it sound? Well, when it came stock, it had Chinese tubes in it. And it sounded like any of the other tube amps that I've had, like a Little Dot Mark II or the Little Bear. It muffled up the sound, distorted it, and it gave a little warmth to it. But it didn't really do anything with the soundstage, didn't do anything with the dynamics or the detailing of any kind. And it sounded like a standard old $150 tube amp. When I let it burn in for a while and play for a while and run, the stock tubes didn't really change. It just kind of stayed the same. I was kind of disappointed. After about 40 hours or so, after about a week's worth of listening, I decided I'm going to try some different tubes. And so I found the Electro Harmonix tubes. And when I put them in, even just straight out of the packaging that I had received, they sounded different. It wasn't as muddy, but it still had that warm sound to it, and the bass sounded cleaner and more deep. The mids were very romantic and very detailed, and the treble actually seemed to show off some more detail and didn't have quite the harshness and crispness that sometimes you can get off of solid state. It just kind of mellowed them out just a little bit. But it didn't kill them. I mean, they still have sparkle and they still have nice clarity to it. So these tubes definitely sound better. And you still get that tubey experience and that sound. You can definitely tell you're not listening to a solid state. And I really enjoy the Electro Harmonix tube in it a lot more than the stock tube. And they play well with other headphones that I have. It doesn't overheat. It gets a little hot, but for the most part, the body of it stays nice and cool. Only the tubes are what get hot. So, to reach over and get the power switch can be a little bit of an issue every now and then. You go to the side of it and switch it off if you do want to turn it off. Headphones that it's played really well with are the Focal Elex, the Sennheiser HD 700, and the Grotto SR 325. I find that those three headphones really showed off differences in tubes and differences between a solid state and the tube amp powering them. The Sennheiser HD 700 sounded really nice on this, to the point where even though that's not really a headphone that I truly would want to listen to on a daily basis, I could do it if I used a tube amp like this. The Grotto SR 325s, it kind of mellowed out the highs a little bit and the treble, and it just added a lushness to the mids and treble that was just amazing, and added a little bit of a kick on the bass. The Focal Elexes, excuse me, it just did something different than what they are on solid state. It added a little bit more of a romantic sound to it, and just a little bit of a tonal change to the body of the song. It didn't really, those are great headphones to begin with, so it didn't change them a whole lot. It's just a different experience. Source-wise, this is can play with pretty much anything that plays into it, but it also does change a little bit as far as what it'll drive. I noticed that if I used my phone via RCA to 3.5 cable, I couldn't use certain headphones with it because it wasn't powerful. It wasn't getting enough of power, enough of it from the source to push out. So, you had to really push the volume knob on this to get it. If I used a standard standalone DAC with it, like the SMSL Sanskrit or the Audio GD NFB 12.1 or the Topping D30, I found that had a little bit more output from the DAC, and this was able to push a little bit better, harder to drive headphones without having to move the volume knob as much. So just be aware of that. But you can plug it into anything. You can plug it into your phone. You can plug it into a standalone DAC. You can use it whatever. So it would be good for an office setting. Put it at your desk, and then just come in every day and just plug in your phone or a little DAC or a DAP to it via 3.5. Or you can have a stack using a standalone DAC. Works great. I don't have any complaints about this. This is one of my favorite little tube amps that I've come across. I like it more than the Lil Dot Mark II that I had, just because I noticed a difference when I actually changed the tubes, and a difference with different headphones that doesn't just muffle up and just distort the sound. This actually adds to different areas of the music, and I liked it definitely better than the Little Bear because it hasn't broke. The Little Bear, I had 2 of them, and neither one of them lasted longer than a month. So gets a thumbs up from me, and I highly recommend it. Nice little budget tube amp that actually gives you the tube sound that people always are talking about and trying out. So I really do like my APPJ PA1502A headphone tube amplifier, or my Gemtune PA1502A headphone tube amplifier, whichever way you want to look at it. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and I'll catch you in the next video.